Hey everyone, please bear with me. To my regular subscribers, I'm not going to get bogged down in the mkmason2002 thing for much longer. In fact, I think we need to put a period on it at the end of this video. I'm not one to say never, so but barring some substantial development, this will be it. Let's put a bow on this and send it on its way. We've got much more actionable things to discuss. However, she did leave a rather lengthy comment on my video enough already. And first of all, thanks to Google for allowing people to do that. That's a little bit insane. We all sort of griped about the 500 character limit in the past because it's hard to get a cogent thought across in 500 characters. But I think deep down we all knew it was probably for the best. And this is a great example of why. If you're going to leave a comment that long, make a damn response video. And of course, it's not that smart either because you run the risk of people looking at it and go, well, I'm not reading that, right? It's too damn long. I've seen a few comments where it's just somebody goes X, and it's just X's down the page like forever, right? You have to scroll down for days to get the bottom of the comment. Nicely done, Google. In any event, Mary is continuing to be obtuse when it comes to definitions, and I think there's some interesting notes here about intent or motive. So she sent me a comment saying, quoting dictionary definitions, which is fantastic. Why? Well, because they prove the point. She sent me Free Online Dictionary and Merriam-Webster Online. Disbelief in or denial of the existence of God or gods. Disbelief in the existence of deity. The doctrine that there are no gods. So there we have it. I'm not sure what you would have us do, Mary. If I don't believe in God, and I'm looking for a word that best suits me, tell me another word that works as well as atheist. It's right there. Disbelief in or denial of the existence of God or gods. Disbelief in the existence of deity. Now, apparently we're going to have to educate you on how dictionaries work. And how words work. You say words have meaning? You are correct. When a dictionary gives a definition for something, they list all the possible definitions. It's not an all or nothing thing. Okay? They list all the possible definitions. It doesn't have to be all of them. That's why it says or. That's why it'll say 1, this, 2, this, 3, this. These are possible definitions for words. For instance, if you look up the word fag or faggot, you will see several different definitions. If I use a pejorative term fag to refer to a gay male, am I implying that they're a bundle of sticks or a cigarette? Of course not. These are all potential definitions. You infer the meaning by context. I'm surprised that I would have to tell you that. Now, you also, in a subsequent comment, conflated denial and belief. There's a reason that it says disbelief in or denial of, or. Or is a very important word, Mary. Denial is kind of an existential claim, right? It's denying something that actually may be in existence, or denying something that clearly is evident. We call people Holocaust deniers if they deny that the Holocaust took place when we have clear and present evidence that it in fact did, including eyewitness testimony and everything else. Disbelief does not deal with existential claims, it just deals with a state of mind regarding a claim. That's why we have the follow-up term of agnostic or gnostic to define the knowledge claims. However, having said all of that, even if you were to use only you're being extremely selective, Mary, even if we were to only use the definition that atheism is the doctrine that there are no gods. Atheists emphatically state that there are no gods. They still exist because the existential part of it is immaterial to the claim. If I claim there are no gods, and there are, I might be mistaken, but I'm still the guy that makes that claim. Even if I deny the existence of God, and even if I am a Holocaust denier, you don't say Holocaust deniers don't exist. You might say they are incorrect, they are wrong. But you can't say they don't exist because they're still the person making the claim. And that's what the term defines. The term is not dealing with whether or not what the claim is true or untrue. It's dealing with the claim. It's a definition of a person making a claim. Wow. She asked later on, why do you have a problem with the dictionary? The definitions prove my point. That's why you discount them. I quoted them, Mary. You're being dishonest now. That's when I said you were wading into the dishonesty pool. This is dishonesty when you provide a definition and then someone quotes them and says, see, look at this, and then you say you're discounting the definitions. I quoted them, Mary. Now, when it comes to definitions, you keep saying words have meaning, words have meaning. I stick to the dictionary definition. And you've said that dictionaries define words. Actually, this isn't the case. We define words, and then people write them down and call it a dictionary. And dictionaries tend to be period specific because words change over time, right? If you were to say in an argument, Mike sure owned Mary, there's a point in history when people would have envisioned you in shackles, Mary, and me as a slave owner, right? Because they wouldn't understand the modern definition of owned includes refuted, beat up, showed up, whatever, right? There are modern definitions of that word, and I'm not sure if it's reflected in any modern dictionaries yet, but at some point, that term, if it's not superseded by pwned, will include that as part of the dictionary definition. Why? Because the dictionaries are meant to reflect the sort of the lexicon of the times, the common communication, right? Because what this is all about is not, a dictionary does not represent some sort of the unchanging laws of nature. A dictionary is meant to reflect the communication in common language at the time, and that's why dictionaries have to change. You know, that's why there's the Old English and there's common language, and slang eventually becomes part of the language sometimes. So using the strict dictionary definition doesn't necessarily mean you're on the right side. Now, of course, all this is immaterial because the dictionary definition that we use today actually includes the definition of atheism that almost all atheists use to date. And that's what a dictionary is meant to do, is to reflect the common understanding of words. So you're the only one who doesn't understand the common use of that word, apparently. Because there's nobody else railing against that except the odd... I'm trying to be nice to you, Mary. You said something about insulting. Insults aren't helpful, Mike. I think I was pretty level with you, actually. There are a great many on my comments section who are telling me that I was far too nice. And they're probably right. You've also conflated, you know, for some reason you're conflating, and I don't know why you've got this fixation with this, the term atheist and the concept that you can't prove that God doesn't exist. These are not the same thing. But you also sort of took me to task on assessing your motives for why you're doing this. And you said, you know, I can't know what's in your mind. Well, I am speculating, Mary, but I'm speculating, I think, based on some pretty reasonable evidence. For instance, your title of your video and the main premise within it, atheists don't exist. This is clearly either intentionally incendiary or just daft. Right? When you say something like that, you're either intending to spark something up, you're intending to rub people the wrong way, or you're just too dense to realize the impact that a statement like that is going to have. And then further in your video, you talk about incendiary, you talk about being tried by fire and being refined by fire. So forgive me if I speculated that that was your motive. Of course, later on, you accuse me of needing some sort of an escape plan, which I still don't know what that is, but if you can't read my mind either, sweetheart. This is not an escape plan. This is an attempt to define myself in a way that I can communicate with other people. And so if atheism is a term that best fits, then great. Now, if the person that I'm talking to wants to know more, is intelligent enough to say, oh, I understand that atheism may potentially have several different meanings. What is your knowledge claim about God, sir? Then I could say, oh, well, I'm actually an agnostic. I don't claim to know whether or not God exists. I just don't believe God exists. It would be very silly for me to use a term that doesn't actually define me to communicate to other people, because that's all that words are. You say words have meanings. Yes, they do. But the primacy is what the word is defining, not the word. So if I'm wanting to describe to someone or communicate to someone what the state of my belief is, it's incumbent upon me to use an accurate word to define it. If I run around calling cars dogs and houses trees, I'm not going to be able to communicate to people very well. And the more words I replace with the wrong word, eventually someone's going to lead me away in a straitjacket, because I'm clearly completely irrational. So let's summarize, shall we? Dictionaries have multiple definitions given for many words. They're not necessarily all applicable in every case. We infer from the context what definition actually applies, or by inquiring further. That's why we have other words. Many good dictionaries will give a history or origin of the word. Why do they do that? Because words tend to change over time. Their meanings change over time. You keep saying dictionaries define words. That's not true. Actually, we define words, and then people who write dictionaries write them down. Dictionaries need to be period specific. If you were to use a very, very, very old dictionary, it wouldn't work so well today. Why? Because words have changed. You have been specifically selective in choosing which ones of those definitions you want to use for the purpose of your argument. I've never once heard you acknowledge that the very first part of the definition, in every case you've submitted as a source, says the disbelief in God or gods. That's a little disingenuous, Mary. It says it right in the sources. That's why I quoted them back to you. And then you have the nerve to tell me that I disregard them. You're clearly being incendiary with both your title and the content of your video. You never said, hey, you guys are using the wrong word. You haven't taken Merriam-Webster or the Free Online Dictionary to task for having words that can't possibly exist. If there were a word for square circles, would you write them a letter and say, hey, that word can't exist because there's no such thing as a square circle? Why are you harassing us? Write the dictionary, people, if you think you have a case. If not atheist, then what? Right? If I'm looking for a word that describes the disbelief in God or gods, well, that one fits. Name me another. You say at the end of the top that the topic is the definition of atheism and the inability to say that God can't exist. Well, if that is the topic here, what you need to do is talk to atheists more, because you will find the vast majority of atheists will not categorically say that God cannot exist, that God does not exist. There may be some that will refute specific gods due to inherent inconsistencies within the narrative, but you'll find very few atheists who will make the knowledge claim emphatically that it's impossible for any God to exist. So if that's really what the topic is, the inability to say that God can't exist, we're in agreement there. You are hung up on the definitions, and you're completely wrong. You know, in all of this, the funny thing is it actually doesn't matter. If the definition of atheist was someone who emphatically says there is no God, that would still be the definition for that person, whether they're right or wrong. It's not an existential definition, right? We call geocentrists. I haven't seen a video yet that says geocentrists don't exist. There are a group of people out there who believe that the Earth is the center of the galaxy, and in fact the center of, the center of the solar system, the galaxy, and in fact the universe. They're wrong. Obviously we have far more evidence that they are incorrect than you could espouse an atheist would face. Right? Because we have clear and present evidence that the Earth is not the center of the solar system, the galaxy, or the universe. But we don't say geocentrists don't exist. We just say geocentrists are wrong. Geocentrists are irrational. And that's the most claim that you could make about atheism. And then we would have a discussion about empiricism and how we come to conclusions. A discussion on rationality and empiricism. But you can't say that atheists don't exist. Even if you're right, you're wrong. Which you're not right, so you're actually wrong and wrong. And again, I would say, you seem to take a little bit of offense that I had speculated as to what your motives might be. But your title and your body of your message were clearly intentionally incendiary, and I think you were intending to provoke a certain response, and I think you need to own that. And when I say own, I will invite you to infer the correct definition for that word based on the context therein. Thanks for watching.